Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, share it with a friend. Thank you very much. And as you all know, we are officially in the dog days of summer. News and things are rather slow this time of year, and I'm always looking for stuff, poking around. And today I came across a gem, and I was like, it's time to make my triumphant return to the studio, because this is a little juicy. A little bit of a juicy one here. And I'm trolling around on Sportsnet. And what do I see? A nice article from this morning with the headline, Potential Trade Destinations for Jets, Rutger McGroarty, Predators, Yaroslav Askarov. And right away I said, oh boy, we might have something here. Let me take a little dive into this. Now, as many of you know who have been around for a while here, a lot of fans have two complaints regarding this offseason for the New Jersey Devils and Tom Fitzgerald. A lot of people have said, how did we not get a top six forward? Or, our goalies are so old, what are we ever going to do? And these are common thoughts shared by, I would say, a good amount of people. And while I am not too concerned about either one, I do understand some people's cause for concern in these two areas. However, as I've said time and time again, I am truly in win now mode. Personally, as a New Jersey Devils fan, I am expecting and hoping the franchise to go into win now mode and really try to push to win a cup in the next few years. I firmly believe in that. I've talked about it over and over again. Cores age very quickly, and so I like to see aggression, and I like to see moves that are going to improve the team today and push us closer to a Stanley Cup. With that being said, I would have loved for the Devils to get a top six forward this offseason. I really would have. It wasn't in the cards. It did not happen. We were rumored to a lot of big names. We missed out. They signed for greener pastures in a state tax-free state in Nashville, Tennessee. Barry Trotz loaded up the choppers, and he might be looking to move a piece in Askarov. But overall, I'm very happy with the Devils offseason. As we've talked about, Markstrom in net is a huge upgrade. Pesce and Dillon on the blue line, big upgrades. And Cotter and Nason in the bottom six, I think, are tremendous upgrades. So now the one piece we did not get was that top six forward. Lots of people are salty about it. Lots of people have thrown out the name Rutger McGroarty. Now, this is a high draft pick that belongs to the Winnipeg Jets. Apparently, he doesn't want to play in the minors, I believe, and it's kind of become a thing. He's requested a trade, maybe informally, and it looks like the Jets are shopping him. Now, I have no idea what they're hoping to get in return for him. I'd imagine it would be something somewhat substantial, I would have to think. I don't think they're looking to give him away. Even though he wants out, I don't think they're going to give him away. But a lot of people have said, could this kid be a potential top six for the New Jersey Devils? And I've seen a lot of video clips on him. I've done a lot of reading. Have seen the scouting reports. I shared a whole video I did on him a few weeks back. And I think if you could get him at the right price, I would take the gamble. I would, at the right price. And again, I don't know exactly what that is. I would not be looking to part with any major assets to make this happen. But I do think Rutger McGroarty could be very interesting as a potential top six forward for this New Jersey Devils club. And it could work out. I always like the surefire things, and I don't know that this kid, to me, is a surefire top six NHL forward at this juncture. Now, he may be right now. He may be one in a year or two. I don't really know enough to say comfortably whether I believe he is or not. So I do think there's definitely an element of risk here. The thing I didn't like is a lot of the scouting reports knocked his skating, which to me is always a red flag and one that's very frightening to me personally. But a lot of people are high on this kid. So if he could be brought in at the right price, it could be very interesting. And regarding the goaltending, a lot of people complained, as I said earlier, oh, our goalies are so old and Markstrom's a short-term solution. I loved the Markstrom deal. I was on here talking about it after it happened. I think he's a great win-now type goaltender that will give us good to very good level of goaltending for the next 2 years that he's under contract. And who knows, if he plays well, maybe we'll see him for a third year. But I understand the people that say, oh, we don't have a long-term goalie. Well, who's the next franchise goalie? And I get all that. Again, because I am more geared towards the win now, I am more of the mindset of get the best guy at the best price now, which I believe Markstrom was. Hopefully help us compete for a Stanley Cup, and then we figure out who the next goalie is, over the course of the next 2 years. And heading into the offseason, we had a ton of goalies in the chamber. We still do, but we did have Akira Schmid, Nico Dawes, Tyler Brennan, Jacob Malik, Isaac Poulter, 5 goalies in the system. Obviously, we traded Schmid away, so he's out of there. But shortly thereafter, a couple days later at the draft, we trade John Marino, get a second-round pick from the Utah Hockey Club, and we use that second-round pick to draft another Russian goalie, Yegorov. So now we're back up to 5 goaltending prospects, and I believe that one of them would be able to become the next starting goalie for the Devils. Now, I believe the succession plan in place is, this year you're going to see Markstrom and Allen, and I believe after that season, Allen's gone, and someone like Dawes or maybe Poulter would come up and be a backup to Markstrom for at least that following season, and then kind of see where we're at. I was very comfortable with those 5 guys, and now with Yegorov makes 5 again. We had 5, traded Schmid away, and then drafted another one, so we're back to 5. I have to believe one of those guys could be a starting goalie in this league and be legitimate. If they can't be, that is a crime and a true shame, a black mark, a series of black marks on the scouting department. You can't draft that many goalies and none of them pan out to be a legitimate starting goaltender. I'm sorry. That's just completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And so I personally was happy with Markstrom, and like I said, one of the next guys. A lot of people were talking about Askarov going back to last year and parts of this year, even in the summer. A lot of people said if he's available, should Fitzy be in on him? No one was sure. There was rumors of Saros being dealt. But then Saros signs a whopping 8-year contract, right? So that was the way we got here. That was kind of the first piece, is Saros re-ups long-term in Nashville. And then Trotz goes on a spending spree in free agency. He gets 2 of the biggest free agent forwards in Stamkos and Marchessault. And then they bring former New Jersey Devil goaltender Scott Wedgwood to be the backup. So now the path to the NHL for Askarov got a whole lot more cloudy, and it seems like he is looking to break into the league as soon as possible. I mean, that's the reality. A lot of these highly ranked prospects in the sport are looking to get to the big leagues as soon as possible, and that seems to be the case with Askarov, and now it seems like he wants out. Nashville has Saros locked up for 8 years. They have Wedgwood for 2 years to be the backup, and so for Askarov, it just seems like at earliest, you could be an NHL backup in 3 years from now. Definitely not the career trajectory he was hoping for, and so his agent has requested a trade, and now Trotz is going to try to deal him. So, interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff, but we get into the article, and this is an article from Ryan Dixon on Sportsnet. He's talking about both McGroarty and Askarov and lists different teams that should be interested in each player. And then he has a section at the bottom calling on both. And I'll put a link to this article in the description so you can check it all out. But calling on both, he has the New Jersey Devils listed, and the article reads, hey, the Devils solved their short-term goalie woes this summer. Why not go out and take care of the big picture too? Jacob Markstrom, acquired from the Flames in June, is under contract for 2 more seasons. Allen, plucked from Montreal ahead of the trade deadline, is locked down for just 1 more year. The former is already 34. The latter hits that age in August. Again, this was a complaint. A lot of people, the goalies are so old. I'm not worried about it right now. I think Markstrom's going to give us good goaltending, and I do believe one of those kids will emerge as the next guy in net. But we go on in the article. If Askarov could be patient for 1 more season, there sure seems to be an opportunity to play a huge role on what should be a very good club for a long time. And when we're talking about mid-30s goalies, there's that much more of a chance that injury bug strikes and Askarov is called upon almost immediately. I don't like that, wishing injuries on our old goalies. We continue on with the article. As for McGroarty, the Devils have a lot of young talent up front, but lack a little of the sandpaper element the Michigan Wolverine could bring. The Devils also have a couple interesting pieces they could choose to put in play. Dawson Mercer is a restricted free agent in need of a new contract, while Seamus Casey, McGroarty's teammate at Michigan the past 2 seasons, is a right-shot, offense-minded defenseman in an organization that already has young studs Luke Hughes and Shimo Nemitz locked into the defense core. So, very interesting stuff. Again, so this guy has us potentially, or he believes we should be calling on both McGroarty and Askarov, and I can't say that he's wrong. I do think McGroarty, at the right price, could be a potential top 6 guy that could fill in nicely for us, and I do think Askarov could be the next franchise goalie. It seems like everyone's very high on him. He shows a lot of promise. He did very well in the AHL last season, and a lot of people think he's going to be, everyone's calling him the next Vasilevsky. I don't like when people make those comparisons and, compare young kids to greats, but I understand why it happens. It's, a very common thing in sports. But I think he's going to be a very solid starting goalie in the league. And so I do think if we were to obtain him, that solidifies, he's only 22 years old right now, that would solidify goaltending for the next, decade plus, as far as I'm concerned. And so anytime you can get a goalie like that, I would be all about it. Again, like everything else, it comes down to what is the cost going to be to obtain this kid. And I will say, while I would be excited to lock up goaltending long-term by getting him, I would not want to take a step backwards whatsoever in terms of this year's team. And I personally think, dealing a guy like Dawson Mercer would be, one step backwards for this season for maybe 2 steps forward in the future. No. Uncle Ace is in win now mode. Say it with me, folks. Win now mode. And for me, I would love to get Askarov, again, at the right price. Trading a guy like Mercer for him, for me, is a loss. I don't like that move at all. Everyone was saying we had to go out and get that top 6 guy this offseason, and that was with already expecting Mercer to fulfill a top 6 role. So it's very tough to me. That, again, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I am not in favor of dealing Mercer to get Askarov whatsoever. Now, if you're talking about other prospects, picks, things of that nature, I'd be all about it. And I hate to say it, and I've said this in other videos as well, I do believe Seamus Casey's greatest value to the Devils is in a trade package. I really like the kid. I think he's going to be a very good NHL defenseman. However, with the kids we already have in the lineup, and I've talked about this before as well, we have Luke Hughes, we have Shimon Nemec, both very inexperienced kids. Putting another very inexperienced kid on the blue line anytime soon, I think, is a kamikaze mission and a recipe for absolute disaster. We saw last year with just Hughes and Nemec at times, rookie breakdowns, rookie mistakes, and the growing pains. And unfortunately, the growing pains at times were extremely painful last season. Again, I love Luke Hughes, love Nemec. I think they're both going to be stellar NHL defensemen. But injecting another very inexperienced kid back there, again, no good, no bueno. Don't want to see it anytime soon. And the fact that he is undersized, you guys know how I feel about that. And so for me, I just can't see him fitting the team's short-term plans anytime soon. And I would consider dealing him in a trade like this. I think it makes sense for where the Devils are now. Fitzgerald this summer put an emphasis on, he told everybody, heavier, edgier, more violent, and I especially love to see those elements in our defensemen. We finally got a little bit of that, for sure, in Brendan Dillon. Kovacevic will lay the wood as well. I wouldn't want to go back to more undersized young guys. I just think that was part of the reason why we kind of got to this place and why we needed to go out and get heavier, edgier, more violent. So for me, I hate to say it, I think Casey's going to be a great player. I do believe his highest value to the New Jersey Devils club is in a trade to get either a win now piece or another future piece like Askarov. I think he could be a great goalie and the long-term solution for sure after Markstrom's done. And so I would like that move. And I would also probably consider him in a deal for McGroarty as well. I'm not saying I would definitely trade him in a McGroarty deal, but I would consider it for sure because, again, one is immediate help versus more long-term help. A lot of people have been salivating at the idea of a blue line comprised of Luke Hughes, Shimon Nemec, Seamus Casey, and Salayev, our number 10 overall draft pick this year. And I understand why. It makes perfect sense. But I do think out of the group, because of timing and everything else involved, Seamus Casey in that grouping, to me, would be the odd man out. And so down the line, in a few years from now, you still could have a defensive group made up of Luke Hughes, Shimon Nemec, and Salayev. Still 3 very good defensemen. And I think that could be a really good group for years and years on the blue line for the New Jersey Devils. I firmly believe that. And a lot of you are going to say, I don't want to trade Casey. And I get all that too. But where I'm at right now, I would like to see both of these players brought in, but at the right price. Could McGroarty fill that top 6 role? I definitely think he could. And I definitely believe, without a doubt, that Askarov would be the next franchise goalie. Anytime you have a chance to trade for a guy like that, I think it's a good idea. I just don't want to take any steps backward for the current team, and I do believe trading Mercer in a deal for Askarov would be doing just that, and I would not be a fan. I think that's counterproductive, and I do not think that is true win-now maneuvering. And so, therefore, I personally am voting as if my vote matters for anything. I would not trade Mercer for Askarov or in any sort of deal. I would try to use other futures like picks, prospects, maybe something like Seamus Casey. That would make perfect sense to me. And I'm kind of in the same place with McGroarty. I wouldn't want to trade anything substantial for him, obviously. I do think he's a gamble, somewhat of an unknown commodity. A lot of people are high on him, but again, that skating knock on the scouting reports is a little worrisome to me. But sometimes you have to take chances like this in this league to improve your team, and I think he definitely could. So it's all very interesting to see how this will shake out. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know a lot of you want to see McGroarty. I know a lot of you would love to get Askarov. Throw it out there in the comments. I'd be very curious what you guys think about trade pieces for these guys. Throw that out there as well. But I would be totally on board for getting either or both of these guys at the right price, and I would definitely prefer to not trade Dawson Mercer. Like I said, I think that's a little counterproductive to the mission of winning now and in the future, really. I think Mercer could be a great player for years. But it's all very interesting. All very interesting stuff. Throw it out there in the comments. I would love to see one or both of them come here. The deal just got to make sense. It's just got to make sense. I have a lot of cool stuff coming up and planned for you. Stay tuned. Like I said, it's the dog days of summer. I'm trying to think of some ideas. I'm working on a bunch of them, so you'll see a bunch of stuff coming out in the next few days or so. I got some cool stuff planned, and I'll talk to you guys all soon. Thank you for watching. If you're newer to the channel, poke around. There's a lot of great stuff from the past few weeks on there. And I will see you all soon. Talk to you in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.